This is a 2026 Chevrolet Trax LT. The second generation Trax came to us in 2024, and aside from a few colors added in 2025 and 2026, little has changed. And that includes the price. The Trax remains one of the least expensive cars you can buy today. And it looks nice, especially considering the price, which I'll share in a moment. This LT lands right in the middle of the lineup, above the base LS and 1RS trims, but beneath the 2RS and top-of-the-line active versions. This particular LT also has the Night Edition package, which adds a bit of flair. And even though this Trax is largely unchanged since 2024, I've never reviewed one. So it's finally time to find out how the least expensive Chevrolet drives. But first, let's talk price. The base Chevrolet Trax LS starts at just $23,495. Moving up to my test car with 4 different option packages: the sunroof package, driver confidence package, midnight edition, and LT convenience package, still sneaks in just under 28 grand at $27,975. All right, let's take a quick look around and inside this Chevrolet Trax. Chevrolet keeps the cost down in the new Trax, but that doesn't mean you have to forego style. And that's especially true of LT Trax equipped with the Midnight Edition package, which includes a lot of black, like these high gloss black 17-inch aluminum alloy wheels with black center caps, high gloss black side view mirror covers, and this high gloss black grille bar, as Chevrolet calls it, and that goes with a black grille and a generally black lower front fascia and black rear fascia as well. You also get black front and rear bow ties, black badging, and even a black bow tie on the steering wheel. Honestly, I think it all looks great. Looking at the Trax in profile, you get a nice view of this cypress gray paint. It is one of 6 paint colors offered, and 5 of the 6 are standard. Also, this cypress gray was a new color for 2025. I also like the look of the Trax in profile. It's got a nice long wheelbase with short overhangs on the front and the rear, and it's got some nice details, some nice cuts into the body as well through the doors. And again, with this Midnight Edition package, the high gloss black stands out in a nice way. Looking at the Trax in the rear, it looks nice again as well here. The only sign that you have that this is a cheap vehicle is right here up top. No shark fin or anything. We've got pretty old school these days looking antenna at the top, but honestly, especially with this Midnight Edition, it blends in pretty well. And if you open the tailgate, you do have a surprising amount of cargo room. You get 26 cubic feet of cargo space behind the second row. It's easier to see with the cargo cover off. There is a little bit of extra space under the floor, but that's largely for the actual space saver spare under here, which is a nice touch. It's also very easy to fold down the second row to show you that you get up to 54 cubic feet of storage behind the first row. For such a compact crossover, or small station wagon as the government likes to call it, that's a healthy amount of space. On 1RS and higher trims, we do get standard remote engine start. In the LT specifically, we get black interior with sky cool gray insets. I think that's a nice touch, and I like these little triangle patterns that's built into it and kind of fades into all black as you go up. And we get really unhealthy amount of room back here. I am 5 feet 11 inches, and I have several inches of knee room. I also have pretty high seat bottoms for good thigh support, and I do still have headroom. We do get an 8-inch fully digital instrument cluster and an 11-inch center display on the Trax LT. And because I remote started it, it's not officially on yet. Foot on the brake. And there is the digital instrument cluster lit up and the 11-inch center display lit up. This particular interior is called jet black with yellow, and I think the black is pretty obvious, but there is some yellow stitching in the back of the seats and a streak of it that goes across the dash here. You can see it really clearly in the vents and in that horizontal line that gets cut off by the screens, but otherwise goes across the dash. It's a nice little something. It adds just a touch of flair to an otherwise pretty standard looking interior. You can see it pointed out right there. We do get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard in the Trax. The digital instrument cluster is standard on LT and higher trims. You get analog gauges with a small screen in the center on the LS and the 1RS trims. An 8-inch center display comes standard on the lower trims. Again, it is the LT and higher that gets the larger 11-inch screen. LT and higher comes through once again to get an automatic climate control system. It is a single zone, but the lower trims, no automatic climate control. Because this has the Midnight Edition package, that also includes the LT convenience package. On Chevrolet.com, if you get one, the other one comes included. It's $1,290 for both. However, you can separately get the LT convenience package without the Midnight Edition, and on its own, it's $595 and includes some nice luxuries. The keyless open system, the button's right there, and power and heated side view mirrors. You also get heated front seats and a heated steering wheel as well. For us Michigan folk in the winter, that's really nice. This particular Trax also has the sunroof package, which isn't quite as obvious as it seems. It's $895 and includes a sunroof, of course, with a manual privacy panel and controls for it right there. But this package also includes a wireless smartphone charger. Don't ask me why it includes that, I just know that it does. Finally, let's talk drive modes, and this will be really simple because the Trax doesn't have any. So let's get back to the drive. All right, let's dig into the powertrain. Regardless of trim, the Chevrolet Trax comes with the same powertrain, a turbocharged 1.2-liter inline 3-cylinder engine, which delivers a whopping 137 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque. That channels through a 6-speed automatic transmission and then onto the front wheels. No all-wheel drive options here. With all the hybrid powertrains out there, fuel economy only looks so-so these days. You get 28 miles to the gallon in the city, 32 on the highway, 30 combined. As 3 cylinders go, this one isn't bad. I didn't expect much. I expected a rattly, buzzy thing, and unless you bury the throttle, you don't get that. This turbocharged 1.2 liter keeps quiet and tugs along this compact crossover just fine. And I said it once, but briefly, the government does not consider this a compact crossover, but a small station wagon. Anyway, if you do bury the throttle, the 3-cylinderness does come through, and it's not terribly fast, but it's not bad. Honestly, it's certainly competent, and considering the price point of this vehicle, which I've said a few times already, it's actually pretty decent. The sound from the engine is just refined enough that you could fool yourself into thinking it's a V6 for a hot moment, and I'll take that. 137 horsepower isn't a lot, but this vehicle also doesn't weigh a lot, so the weight to power ratio isn't that bad. And even if I slow down and then floor it, you know, response from the transmission isn't that bad. Shifts are okay, and we're up to speed again, no problem. So certainly not quick, but you can get up and moving quickly enough that you're not wanting for power. You're never in the way. And even though this powertrain doesn't wow me, I'm still ever curious. So of course I had to do an acceleration test. Let me show you that right now. Okay, time for an acceleration test. As I told you, I do not have any drive modes, but I do have a way to turn off traction and stability control right on the center display. So I'm going to do that real quick. And both of those are off. All right, let's see what 137 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque to the front wheels can do. Coming to a complete stop. Foot hard on the brake, hard on the gas. Ooh, just under 3,000 RPM off the brake. Little bit of tire spin. Yeah, not bad revs. Reasonably quick shifts. Slowish shifts. But okay. Yeah, we're moving. That's not bad. It really isn't bad, considering that we're working with 3 cylinders and 137 horsepower. It's not bad. Obviously, I would prefer a 4-cylinder and just a tiny bit more grunt off the line and a faster shift as well. But again, at this price point, pretty happy with it. All right, let's dig into the chassis. Just like most mainstream vehicles these days, we get a strut suspension up front. But this being an inexpensive vehicle, Chevrolet stuck with a simple, inexpensive torsion beam, solid axle, rear suspension. Here's where the Trax starts to show its cheapness a little bit. It's fine. The compromise between ride and handling is right where you'd expect it to be. The ride is generally comfortable, generally competent, and if you're just cruising on the interstate, it's totally fine. But because of the solid rear axle, the rear end can get a little jittery, and the steering is not great. You know, you feel a fair amount of numbness on center, and the response as you turn the wheel is a little bit uneven. And as you saw, I'll do it one more time, you get a lot of body roll. The steering response, it's a pretty fast steering rack, so the steering responds reasonably well. It's just not a very refined feeling chassis. The fact that it's a solid rear axle is a bummer, but the fact that it starts at under 25 grand makes it a little bit more understandable. And like I said, as long as the roads are reasonable, the ride is totally fine. And that's true on roads like this and on the interstate. I did test it there as well. Let me show you that. All right, time for a brief stint on the interstate, but first I wanted to quickly show you a neat little trick that Chevrolet built into the Trax. First of all, this car does have the optional driver confidence package, and that's what gives this particular Trax adaptive cruise control and a couple other items like that, additional driving aids. But I can still use standard cruise control, and I'll show you how I can switch between the two. Cruise control is on right now. That's what that little indicator is right there. If I hold down the cancel button, regular cruise control is available. That is standard, old school. It just sets the speed, you do the rest. That can be nice in a lot of circumstances. But if you prefer, hold it down again, and adaptive cruise control is available. So that's how you switch between the two. I think that's a nice gesture to be able to have those options, to give the driver more options, more choice there. I will use the adaptive cruise control for the highway test just to get a sense of how it works. So let's get to it. Okay, time to get on the interstate. And we do have a fair amount of standard driving aids, but less than a lot of other cars do in the modern era, because we have the driver confidence package that grants us more to bring us up to more of the typical amount of driving aids. Okay, cruise control is set at 78 miles an hour to go with traffic. Also, I have a separate button. When I press it, that turns on a lane departure control. It's not a lane centering. We will still bounce between the lanes, but that will stop me and bring me back to the middle of the lane, and you'll slowly do some bumper bowling. But it's nice to have something that at least prevents you from leaving the lane. Another neat trick, so there's cruise control, there's that lane centering. We have this little indicator right here. That is your distance in front of the other driver in time. I think that's a nice data point. You have a sense of distance between vehicles, but depending on your speed, that dictates how much time you have in front of them. We do have these days, a 6-speed automatic transmission, and because it is also a very small displacement engine, we do have higher than average revs here, looking at about 2,500 RPM for 78 miles an hour. So you can hear the 3-cylinder buzzing along just a little bit, but it is, considering that it's a 3-cylinder, a fairly quiet, fairly well-balanced engine. It's not, well, okay, it's not as bad as I was expecting. And also, road and wind noise were a little bit better than I expected. It's not quiet in here. A fair amount of noise does come through the cabin. It is a little bit on the tinny side, but it's fairly well controlled and blocked, so you don't get a bunch of whistles or howls or anything like that. So, all in all, it's a pretty decent highway cruiser. So, what do I think of this 2026 Chevrolet Trax LT? I had low expectations for this Trax, but given that, I came away quite impressed. I think it looks great. I like the long wheelbase and the short front and rear overhangs. I like the sharp edges to the styling. Yeah, it's genuinely a nice looking thing. And I think it pretty much offers everything you need in a car. You have wireless connectivity and wireless charging, and you have heated seats and heated steering wheel, and fundamentally, good amounts of comfort and plenty of space for 4 adults. It does fall a little short in the fuel economy department. I thought we could do better there. I was hoping for more like mid-30s in that regard, but I'll say it one more time, the price, considering that it comes in at a nice and low number, and even with the options that I have stays well under 30 grand, it's laudable. So even though you're gonna pay a little bit more at the pump, given the starting price of this car, it's still gonna be one of the least expensive cars to own holistically. And these days, that alone means a lot. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you very much for watching. Come on, little 3-cylinder, show me what you got. Yeah, why not?